Hello there, APE students. This is Dr. Finley. I am debriefing you on the personal progress check number 4. Let's go ahead and get started. There were 4 commonly missed questions. The first one was question number 1, and this diagram best illustrates major processes in which of the following biogeochemical cycles. So first, clue in on weathering and uplift. Those are things that are only going to happen in the phosphorus cycle. So this is how you know it's the phosphorus cycle. And another thing is that you don't have any atmospheric components. So there's no carbon dioxide in the air, which would give you the carbon cycle. You also would recognize things like cellular respiration or burning of fossil fuels if it was the carbon cycle. And it's not going to be the nitrogen cycle because you would recognize terms such as fixation, nitrification, or denitrification. So pay attention to those key words that indicate that it's the phosphorus cycle. Okay, this next question was commonly missed. And this is looking at a bunch of different things that are happening on land and asking you about the impact on the aquatic ecosystem. So for this one, there will be less algal growth in the nearby ocean. And why is this? Typically, we look at phosphorus washing off into aquatic ecosystems and causing algal blooms, or eutrophication. Eutrophication is that addition of the nutrients, and then algal blooms often happens because that nutrient was limiting. Now, this is asking you the reverse. What's not going to happen? What's going to be the impact? How is it going to be decreased if we don't have that phosphorus runoff? Well, phosphorus is not going to be incorporated into the erosion, and therefore it's not going to get into the waterways, and it's going to decrease the algal growth. The other things are either don't deal with the phosphorus cycle, such as there's no atmospheric component in the phosphorus cycle, or it isn't an accurate representation of what would happen in the nearby ocean. This next question was missed at a pretty high rate. This deals with a different diagram, and it tells you at the top, it talks about cultural eutrophication. And that can trip some people up because they're just not expecting that cultural eutrophication part. Not all textbooks use that terminology, and perhaps your teacher didn't, but you're going to be good at cueing in on just eutrophication and knowing what that means. So based on the diagram, which of the following processes most likely cause the fish in the lake to die? Now it is going to be D, in this case, that bacteria and other decomposers use the dissolved oxygen in the water as they consume the remains of the bottom-dwelling plants and algae. That's that decomposition. They're eating the dead algae just like you would eat food. You use oxygen to break down that during cellular respiration. So do the bacteria, and they release carbon dioxide. Okay, so they're depleting the water of that oxygen. The other two are incorrect. Herbicides aren't going to be directly toxic to the fish. You can see that some of these could be endocrine disruptors, but they're not acutely toxic, so they wouldn't cause the death of the fish. And then the algal bloom itself is going to consume carbon dioxide and release oxygen. So remember that algae are going to be photosynthesizing. So pay attention to the bacteria and decomposers. They're the one that's using up the oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. Finally, question number 7 was missed at a pretty high rate. This is another diagram. There's a lot of pictures to decipher in this quiz. And we're looking for which of the processes is illustrated by the downward arrow from the atmosphere that shows this conversion of nitrogen gas. And that's nitrogen fixation. So anytime nitrogen is moving out of the atmosphere, either by lightning or by bacteria, that is fixation. So it makes it, that's the first step in the nitrogen cycle that makes it usable for plants and sets it on a cycle that is removing it from the atmosphere. Nitrogen assimilation is referring to the uptake by plants of nitrogen once it's been processed into a form such as ammonia or nitrate that can be used by plants. So fixation is going to happen to remove any nitrogen from the atmosphere. As always, reach out to your teachers for help if you need any clarification on these topics, and I look forward to seeing you the next time.